King Charles has given what's been dubbed as his very own State of the Union address. I don't know if any of you caught this yesterday. He spoke about what he sees as British values that he says holds us all together.
I have often described the United Kingdom as a community of communities, an island nation in which our shared values are the force which holds us together. At such a juncture in our national life, there are special strengths which we can summon to help us, deep wells on which we can draw. This includes the practice of our religious faiths in freedom and mutual understanding. Such understanding, both at home and overseas, is never more vital than at times of international turmoil and harm.
Yes, OK, so that was King Charles. I'm joined now by the wonderful former BBC Royal correspondent and friend of the show, Jennie Bond. Jennie, thank you very much. So, do you think that what King Charles had to say there was correct? Do you think it's reasonable? Do you think he understands, maybe, how divided the world and, dare I say it, Britain is these days?
Oh, yes, I think he understands that very profoundly. You have to remember this is a man who has devoted a great deal of his life to understanding the different religious faiths around the world. Not just understanding, but practicing a lot of meetings with people of different faiths. He's a man who cares extremely deeply about those differences and about what we have in common, despite those differences, which so often shape conflicts around the world. And I think we should be pleased that we are fortunate enough to have a monarch who has such a deep understanding and is willing to talk about it. However obliquely, he did not mention the Middle East in his speech at Manchester. But every word seemed to be shot through with nuances about the dreadful conflict that's going on.
Yes, no, indeed. Now, David's been on. David says this: I absolutely adored our late Queen. I think because of her lengthy reign, it will take time to build up the same level of respect and admiration that she commanded, but I think he's getting off to a decent start. It's still early days. That's David in Scarborough. That was my general kind of takeaway last night from this, which was he just doesn't have the same gravitas as the Queen. But is that unfair?
Yes, I think it is unfair. I think he does have actually more gravitas. We know what he thinks about a lot of issues. He has been so active in campaigning, particularly, as I say, on unity within the religions and harmony generally. He talks on and on about harmony. He's written a book called Harmony. Harmony, mankind and nature, harmony between our different peoples. And he's tried here to really pitch this speech extremely carefully, and I think he's succeeded. And he has, of course, been very even-handed in that as soon as the awful attack, the Hamas attack on Israel happened, he invited the chief rabbi to Buckingham Palace. He called King Abdullah of Jordan. He also called President Herzog of Israel. So he's being both proactive and very equally balanced, I think, in his actions. And he has to be careful.
Well, he does have to be very careful, don't we all, these days, unfortunately, but there we go. I wonder whether or not he is ideally placed to help Britain as much as possible when it comes to what's been going on in the Middle East. And the Middle East is, let's be honest with you, a bit of a mess, OK, in terms of internal conflicts and the ramifications that can have to spill out into the wider world, OK? Do you think that his relationships, like the ones that you just outlined there, can really help Britain in terms of soft diplomacy?
Yes, I do. And quite honestly, if anyone in this awful situation, if anyone can say anything which might prevent this conflict escalating into world turmoil, we've got to hear it, haven't we? And so he has a global platform and he's using it extremely carefully. You know, I understand that he spent a long time thinking about this speech. It was his words and he reflected on each of those words very carefully. And I think it was a really excellent, not an intervention, but reflection on the state of the United Kingdom and the state of world affairs.